Hello, everyone. What do you consider art? Would you consider an everyday object such as a lamp or a pencil art? I bet not. However, I'm here to make you rethink what art is and why things are not always what they seem. In 1917, a French artist by the name of Marcel Duchamp changed the art world forever when he displayed an upside-down urinal in an exhibit and presented it as art. For my final presentation, I will be discussing Marcel Duchamp's Fountain, 1917 replica 1964. The work is made of porcelain and has the name R. Mutt painted on it. The porcelain urinal was presented by Duchamp under the pseudonym R. Mutt. The original piece, which was created in 1917, disappeared, but Duchamp recreated it in 1964, shortly before his death in 1968. Duchamp himself did not make the actual urinal, but he signed it and turned it upside down and submitted it to the Society of Independent Artists. In fact, Duchamp was a board member of the Society of Independent Artists. Duchamp's piece was controversial to say the least. Many questioned if it could even be considered art. Duchamp classified it as ready-made work. The piece is fairly small in size, measuring 360 by 480 by 610 millimeters. It is believed that the urinal was made using a traditional slip cast technique and is believed to be a hollow fired clay with a white glaze. The actual color is a slightly off-white, and the urinal is curvaceous. On the left, R. Mutt 1927 is painted in black. The letters are elongated and slightly messy because the urinal is upside down. Because the urinal is upside down, the eyes are drawn to the center and upwards, mainly focusing on the series of holes in the center. As far as visual analysis goes, there is not too much to dissect or describe. In fact, Fountain forces the viewer to draw their own conclusions about the work. Fountain is so controversial because it is not a stereotypical artwork to many viewers. For many, it is just a pre-made object with no significance. Many art critics and viewers were also disturbed by the work because of the fact that it is a urinal, which is used to collect and dispose of human waste. In fact, the Board of Society of Independent Artists stated when it was first put on exhibit by Duchamp that the fountain may be a very useful object in its place, but its place is not in an art exhibition, and it is, by no definition, a work of art. Fountain is provocative and revolutionary. It challenged the standards of art. Prior to Duchamp's Fountain, art was traditionally handcrafted, detailed, and elaborate. Duchamp single-handedly revolutionized the art world by experimenting with the very concept and philosophy of art. The ready-made artworks created by Duchamp were extremely conceptual. He managed to break the barriers between everyday objects and art. The period of time in which Duchamp first created the piece was heavily influential. It was created during the First World War, during a time of immense industrialization and societal change. The increasing importance of industry is reflected in Fountain, as Duchamp managed to take an everyday, mundane object and develop a deeper, more philosophical meaning for the viewer. Duchamp's artworks undermined the high standards of the art world and poked fun at the seriousness of many other artists and art movements. Duchamp challenged tradition, provoked viewers and critics, and heavily influenced the future of art history. In fact, in 2004, the work was voted on by a panel of 500 prestigious art critics as the most influential artwork of the 20th century. The reason this piece is so critically important to the art world is because Duchamp was the first to come up with this idea. He intentionally chose to take this remade urinal and turn it upside down. He chose to take an everyday object and give it a deeper meaning. Many theorized Duchamp's intentions behind the ready-made artworks, but this is exactly what Duchamp wanted. He wanted viewers to think further, to debate artworks. The mystery behind Duchamp's works is why viewers and critics are so drawn to them and keep coming back to them even a century later. Fountain forces the viewer to consider the deeper philosophical questions of life. Duchamp paved the way for many modern artists and radically changed history with his artworks. I find this piece to be very compelling and thought-provoking. I can appreciate Duchamp's process as an artist, and the fact that he was a trailblazer and challenged the status quo. Personally, I do not relate to the actual urinal, but I find the message behind Fountain very meaningful. When looking at this piece, I am inspired to take risks and challenge authority. I am also inspired to look at everyday objects with different perspectives, to redefine the idea of the mundane, and to ultimately find beauty in everyday life. I hope that you and other viewers are able to see this piece not just for what it appears to be, but for the strong message which it represents. Thank you all for a great semester, and here are my sources.